one apartment, one bachelor, 3 orphaned children America adopted. In 1966, Family Affair opened the door to a New York apartment and gave television one of its softest lies. A wealthy engineer named Bill Davis suddenly had to raise his brother's children after their parents died. A teenage girl, 2 6-year-old twins, one English gentleman's gentleman who never asked to become a nanny. It looked warm. It sounded gentle. It had dolls, bedtime stories, school problems, and a butler who called the children by their last names because even love had to be properly dressed. But under the sweetness, the show began with death. That is the part people forget. Family Affair was not just a sitcom about children. It was a sitcom about children after loss. And after the cameras stopped, real life became much darker than anything CBS ever filmed. One little girl became America's sweetheart and died at 18. One child actor survived addiction and turned the damage into a mission. One British butler died only 6 years after the show ended. And the man who played Uncle Bill faced cancer, family tragedy, and an ending no sitcom could soften. This is Family Affair, then and now. Brian Keith was Uncle Bill Davis. Brian Keith was born on November 14, 1921, in Bayonne, New Jersey. Before Uncle Bill, he had lived harder than most television fathers. He served in the Marines during World War II. He played soldiers, Western men, tough men, men who did not waste words. Then, television handed him 3 children. He was 44 when he became Bill Davis, the bachelor engineer who suddenly had to become a father because tragedy had entered the family before episode 1. Uncle Bill was not soft at first. That was why the role worked. He had money, space, and a butler. But none of that taught a man how to comfort a child who had lost everything. Keith made him believable because he never played him as perfect. Family Affair made Brian Keith a household name. It gave him 3 Emmy nominations and turned him into one of television's trusted father figures. But his own final years were brutal. He suffered from emphysema and lung cancer. In 1997, his daughter Daisy died by suicide. Weeks later, Brian Keith was found dead at his Malibu home from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was 75. Uncle Bill rescued 3 fictional orphans. Real life gave Brian Keith grief he could not rescue himself from. Sebastian Cabot was Mr. French. Sebastian Cabot was born on July 6, 1918, in London, England. He had no formal drama school legend behind him. He built himself the hard way: British films, stage work, and character parts. He was 48 when he became Giles French, the gentleman's gentleman who moved through the Davis apartment like discipline in a suit. Mr. French did not want chaos. Then chaos arrived, wearing children's clothes. That was the comedy. A man trained for order suddenly had to handle lunchboxes, tears, tantrums, and a doll named Mrs. Beasley. Cabot made French more than a butler. He made him the second parent in the room. He also narrated Disney stories, including Winnie the Pooh, and voiced Bagheera in The Jungle Book. But on Family Affair, Cabot became so identified with Mr. French that the image followed him everywhere. The beard, the accent, the careful dignity. In 1977, Sebastian Cabot suffered a stroke at his home near Victoria, British Columbia. He died at 59. The man who played Control left the world suddenly, only a few years after the apartment went quiet. Kathy Garver was Cissy Davis. Kathy Garver was born on December 13, 1945, in Long Beach, California. She had already been in Hollywood as a child, even appearing in the 10 Commandments before Family Affair made her familiar to millions. She was 20 when she played Cissy, the 15-year-old older sister trying to grow up while also helping hold the broken family together. Cissy was not the gimmick. Buffy had the doll. Jody had the twin innocence. Uncle Bill had the bachelor panic. Mr. French had the British order. Cissy had the responsibility. She was the child old enough to understand what had happened and young enough to still need someone to protect her from it. After Family Affair, Kathy Garver kept working. Voice acting, television, audiobooks, appearances, books, and memoirs. She became the keeper of the show's memory. When a cast carries this much tragedy, someone has to remember it without letting it become only a curse. Today, in 2026, Kathy Garver is 80. She survived child stardom, survived the role, and became the witness to everyone who did not. Anissa Jones was Buffy Davis. Anissa Jones was born on March 11, 1958, in Lafayette, Indiana. She was 8 when she became Buffy, the little girl with the blonde pigtails, the soft voice, and the doll named Mrs. Beasley. Buffy was designed to melt the room. She was tiny, sweet, sad, without fully understanding why. A child who had lost her parents, but still carried a doll as if that doll could explain the world. The audience loved her. The marketing loved her. Mrs. Beasley dolls became part of the show's world. Buffy was not just a character anymore. She was a product, a memory, a face people thought belonged to them. That is a dangerous thing to put on a child. When Family Affair ended in 1971, Anissa was 12, too old to be Buffy, too young to know who she was without Buffy. She did not continue acting. Fame had frozen her at the exact age life refused to keep her. On August 28, 1976, Anissa Jones was found dead in Oceanside, California after a drug overdose. She was 18. 8 years later, her brother Paul also died of a drug overdose. He was 24. The little girl America wanted to protect became the one nobody could save. Johnny Whitaker was Jody Davis. Johnny Whitaker was born on December 13, 1959, in Van Nuys, California. He was 6 when he became Jody, Buffy's red-haired twin brother. Jody was Innocence with freckles. He gave the show its boyish warmth, the other half of the child pair America watched grow up in that apartment. But child stardom is a strange kind of childhood. Everyone knows your name before you know yourself. After Family Affair, Whitaker starred in Tom Sawyer and Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. Then, the work changed. The attention changed. The little boy America remembered was gone, but the world kept looking for him. As an adult, Johnny Whitaker struggled with drugs and alcohol. Then, his family confronted him. He entered recovery, became sober, and later worked as a certified drug counselor. That is the part that matters. He did not just survive the damage. He walked back into the fire to help other people out. Today, in 2026, Johnny Whitaker is 66. Jody was the orphaned boy television protected. Johnny became the man who had to protect himself. John Williams was Nigel French. John Williams was born on April 15, 1903, in England. During the first season, when Sebastian Cabot was absent for a time, Williams stepped in as Nigel French, Giles French's brother. Only 9 episodes, that is all. But even that small role shows how fragile television is. The audience sees a polished apartment. Behind it, actors get sick, schedules break, and another man has to step into the butler's shoes. John Williams died in 1983. He was 80. He was never the main Mr. French. He was the reminder that even the most stable shows are held together by people who can disappear. That is Family Affair after nearly 60 years. The show ran 5 seasons, 138 episodes, a rich apartment, a bachelor uncle, a butler. 3 children trying to live after a tragedy the audience almost forgot was there. Brian Keith is gone. Sebastian Cabot is gone. Anissa Jones is gone. John Williams is gone. Kathy Garver and Johnny Whitaker remain. America remembers Mrs. Beasley, the bedtime scenes, Mr. French's manners, Uncle Bill learning how to be a father. But underneath the comfort was a harder truth. Family Affair was always about what happens after children lose their first home. And maybe that is why the real endings hurt so much. Because the show promised that if the right adults arrived, broken children could be protected. Real life was not that kind. Drop a comment. Which story hit you hardest? And here is the real question. Did Family Affair comfort America because it was sweet? Or because it quietly admitted that every family begins with someone trying to survive a loss?